I want to talk to you today about something that's gripping the hearts of many people in this world: worry. It creeps into our minds, wraps around our souls, and before we know it, we're paralyzed by fear, doubt, and anxiety. Worry steals your sleep, it robs your peace, and it blinds your eyes to the promises of God. But I want to tell you today, there is a better way. There is a higher path. You don't have to live shackled to fear and anxiety. You don't have to try and control every step of your journey. You can stop worrying and let God lead you. You see, the human heart was never meant to carry the weight of the world. That's why we break down. That's why we wear out. We were created not to be the captain of the ship, but to trust the one who made the ocean. There is a God who sits on the throne of the universe, and he is not surprised by your circumstances. He is not caught off guard by your trials. He is not confused by your confusion. He knows the end from the beginning, and he calls you today, not to understand everything, but to trust him in everything. Some of you are worried about your future. You lie awake at night, tossing and turning, wondering how things are going to turn out. You've looked at the job market, the economy, the political climate, and you've started to panic. But my friend, has God ever failed? Has he ever broken a promise? Has he ever led his people into ruin? No. Time after time, he has shown that he is faithful. When the Israelites stood before the Red Sea, they thought it was the end. But God made a way where there was no way. When Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, it looked like his fate was sealed. But God shut the mouths of the lions. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next step in faith. You don't need to have the plan all figured out. You just need to know the one who holds the plan. He is a good shepherd, and when you let him lead, you shall not want. He will make you lie down in green pastures. He will lead you beside still waters. He will restore your soul. Some of you are worried about your past, haunted by mistakes, weighed down by guilt, paralyzed by shame. But the cross speaks a better word. The blood of Jesus Christ doesn't just cover your sins, it washes them away. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed your transgressions from you. You are not defined by your failure, you are defined by his forgiveness. So stop carrying what God already buried. Stop worrying about what's already being nailed to the cross. There is power in surrender. When you let go, God takes hold. When you stop trying to control everything, that's when you begin to see him move. He doesn't need your perfection, he needs your surrender. He doesn't ask you to carry the burden, he asks you to cast it on him, for he cares for you. You don't need to have all the answers, you just need to know the one who does. He sees the storm and he walks on the waves. He sees your brokenness and he brings healing. He sees your fear and he gives peace, not the peace the world gives, temporary, shallow, and weak, but the peace that passes all understanding, a peace that guards your heart and your mind, a peace that says, even if the mountains fall and the earth gives way, I will not fear, for my God is with me. Stop worrying, stop striving, stop trying to carry what only God was meant to carry. He is able, he is willing, and he is already working. Let him lead you, let him guide you, let him carry you. And you will find that his way is better than anything you could have imagined. You may feel like you're standing at a crossroads right now, unsure which way to go. You've prayed, you've cried, you've asked for direction, but the road ahead still seems blurry. And the temptation is strong to take matters into your own hands, to force an outcome, to rush a decision, to grasp for control. But listen carefully. The still, small voice of God is not in the whirlwind. It's not in the fire or the earthquake. It's in the quiet whisper calling you to wait, to trust, to follow even when you can't see. Some of you are asking, how can I let God lead me when everything around me is falling apart? That's the question we all wrestle with, especially in seasons of loss, in the valley of disappointment, in the middle of heartbreak. You want answers, you want clarity, But often God doesn't give you the full picture. He gives you just enough light for the next step. That's where faith is born. That's where trust is formed. That's where you stop leaning on your own understanding and start leaning into His promises. And oh, how precious His promises are. He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. He says, fear not, for I am with you. He says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. These aren't just comforting words, they are eternal truths. God is not a man that He should lie. If He said it, He will do it. If He promised it, He will fulfill it. You can stand on His word when everything else is sinking sand. Now, some of you are trying to fight battles that were never meant for you to fight alone. You're exhausted, not just physically, but spiritually. You've tried to fix everything in your own strength. You've tried to be the savior, the solution, the hero, and it's worn you down. But there's good news. You're not the savior. You're not supposed to be. The weight of the world is not on your shoulder. There is one who carried that weight to Calvary, who stretched out His arms on a wooden cross and said, it is finished. The battle belongs to the Lord. When you let God lead, you stop striving and start abiding. You stop panicking and start praying. You stop reacting and start resting. And make no mistake, resting in God is not weakness, it is power. Because when you're resting in Him, you're trusting in His sovereignty. You're declaring, God, I don't have to know what's next because I know you, and you are enough. Think about the disciples in the boat during the storm. The wind was raging, the waves were crashing, and panic had taken hold. And where was Jesus? Asleep. Not because He didn't care, but because He wasn't afraid. He knew the storm was subject to His voice. He knew the waves knew His name. And He stood up in that boat and said, peace, be still. And the storm obeyed. You need to know that the same Jesus is in your. He hasn't left you. He hasn't forgotten you. And when the time is right, He will stand and speak peace into your storm. But you have to let Him lead. You have to stop wrestling and start releasing. Worry is often rooted in the illusion of control. We think that if we can just think enough, plan enough, prepare enough, we can keep bad things from happening. But life doesn't work that way. Jesus said, can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? Worry doesn't add, it subtracts. It subtracts joy, it subtracts peace, it subtracts clarity. But trust adds, trust builds, trust sustains. Look at the birds of the air, Jesus said. They don't sow or reap or store away in barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? And yet here we are, trying to figure out tomorrow when God is already there. Here we are stressing over outcomes when God is already working all things together for our good. There is such a freedom in surrender. When you truly let go, when you open your hands and say, Lord, not my will but yours be done, something shifts in your spirit. You stop asking why and start asking what now. You stop doubting and start depending. And that's when you begin to experience the fullness of God's presence. Not just in the mountaintop moments, but in the mundane, in the waiting, in the valley. That's when you begin to hear His voice more clearly, not because He's speaking louder, but because your heart has become quieter. You see, worry drowns out the whisper of God, but peace prepares the heart to hear Him. And peace doesn't come from understanding every detail. It comes from knowing the one who holds every detail. You don't need a map when you have the guide. You don't need to control the journey when you know the one who designed the road. Maybe right now you're in a place of uncertainty. Maybe things didn't go the way you expected. The job didn't come through, the relationship didn't last, the diagnosis came back different than you hoped. And now you're sitting in the middle of the unknown asking God where He is. Let me tell you, He's closer than you think. He's right there in the silence. He's in the stillness. And He's saying, be still and know that I am God. He's not in a hurry. He's not rushing your process. He's building something deeper in you. Character, resilience, dependence. Sometimes God delays the breakthrough because He's more concerned about what He's doing in you than what He's doing for you. Sometimes He withholds the answer because He wants to become the answer. You may not feel strong enough, you may not feel ready, but you don't have to be. His strength is made perfect in your weakness. You just need to show up every day with an open heart and a willing spirit. You just need to keep walking, even if it's one step at a time. You just need to keep trusting, even when nothing makes sense, because faith is not about feelings. Faith is not about everything going right. Faith is about saying, God, I believe you even when I don't see the outcome. I trust you even when the doors are closed. I'll follow you even when the path is unclear. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. That's the kind of trust that breaks chains. That's the kind of surrender that invites heaven to invade your circumstances. So I say to you today, stop worrying. Let it go. Hand it over. Not just part of it, all of it. Give Him your future. Give Him your past. Give Him your fears, your doubts, your plans, your dreams. Lay them all at His feet and say, Lord, I don't want to lead anymore. I want to follow you. And when you do, you will find rest for your soul. You will find peace in the middle of the storm. You will find strength you didn't know you had. Because when God leads, He provides. When God leads, He protects. When God leads, He finishes what He started. Keep your eyes on Him. Keep your heart open. Keep your hands lifted and watch what happens when you let go of worry and let God take the lead. You may have tried to lead yourself for so long that letting go feels unnatural. You've been taught to figure it all out, to have backup plans, to always be ready to fix the problem yourself. But there comes a time when human effort runs out, when the answers don't come, when the strategies don't work, and in that moment you realize something holy. You were never meant to carry the weight of tomorrow on your shoulders. You were created for dependence, not domination. You were created for trust, not tension. This doesn't mean we sit passively doing nothing, waiting for God to drop everything into our laps. No, letting God lead doesn't mean inactivity. It means surrender. It means obeying when He speaks, even when it's hard. It means walking through doors, even when you're scared. It means being still when He says, wait, and moving when He says, go. There's a rhythm to grace, a flow to trust. It's not forced. It's not frantic. It's faithful. Do you remember the story of Abraham? God called him to leave everything he knew, his land, his family, his comfort zone, and go to a place he had never seen. There was no map, no itinerary, just a promise. I will show you. That's all Abraham had, and yet he went. He trusted. And through his obedience, God birthed a nation. What if Abraham had stayed where it was safe? What if he had refused to move without more details? He would have missed the miracle. There are miracles on the other side of your surrender, but you have to be willing to follow even when it feels uncomfortable. You have to walk even when you don't have all the answers. You have to trust that when God says go, He already knows where you're going. He's already prepared the way. He's already made provision in the desert, strength for the journey, manna for each morning. And yes, there will be detours, there will be moments when you feel lost. But don't mistake delay for denial. Don't confuse silence for absence. Sometimes God is working behind the scenes in ways you can't yet see. He's setting things in motion. He's aligning hearts. He's preparing the ground for what's to come. Your job is not to figure it out. Your job is to follow. Some of you are holding on to pain not because you want to, but because you're afraid to let go. You've built your identity around the wound, around what happened, around the rejection, the betrayal, the failure. And God is gently whispering to you now, give it to me. Let me lead you out of that place. Let me show you that your story isn't over. He wants to bring healing. But healing begins with surrender. Healing begins when you release the offense, the fear, the self-protection, and let Him lead you into freedom. God leads us not just in the public victories, but in the private battles, when no one else sees, when no one understands. He's there, leading you in the night hours, leading you through the tears, leading you through the questions. Even when you don't recognize his hand, you can trust his heart. And how does he lead? Not with a whip, not with pressure, but with love, with kindness, with patience. Like a good shepherd who calls his sheep by name, he knows you, he knows your weaknesses, your patterns, your wounds, and still he calls you, not because of who you are, but because of who he is. Letting God lead you means you start to live by faith, not by sight. You stop measuring his goodness by your circumstances. You stop needing everything to go right in order to believe he's with you. You start to walk in the confidence that says, even if I don't see the way, I know the one who is the way. You start to rest in the truth that you are not alone, not for a second, not for a heartbeat. And don't be surprised if the path God leads you on doesn't look like what you imagined. His ways are higher, his thoughts are deeper. Sometimes he leads you through the wilderness to prepare you for the promise. Sometimes he allows the storm to teach you to walk on water. Sometimes he breaks what you built because he's building something better. And through it all, he never loses control. The enemy will try to fill your mind with lies. You're not going to make it. God has forgotten you. You're all alone. But you must answer with truth. You must declare, no, my God is with me. He has plans for me, plans to prosper me and not to harm me, plans to give me a hope and a future. He has begun a good work in me, and he will be faithful to complete it. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can pick up the worry, or you can pick up the word. You can live in anxiety, or you can live in assurance. You can carry the burden, or you can cast it on the one who cares for you. This isn't a one-time decision. It's daily, sometimes hourly, and it's worth it every time. Because when you let God lead, you start to live differently. You start to see with spiritual eyes. You begin to notice his fingerprints in the small things, the way he brings the right person into your life at the right time, the way he opens one door and closes another for your protection, the way he gives you strength when you thought you had none left, the way peace comes when it shouldn't, the way joy rises from ashes. This is the life of trust. It's not perfect, it's not always easy, but it's beautiful. Because it's real, it's grounded, it's rooted in the one who does not change. Everything else in life will shift. People will come and go. Seasons will rise and fall. But God is the same, yesterday, today, and forever. You can trust him, you can lean on him, you can follow him all the way home. So when the fear comes, and it will, don't try to fight it alone. Take it to the Lord. When the doubt creeps in, and it will, don't entertain it. Remind yourself of what he's already done. When the path seems too dark, and sometimes it will, take one small step of faith, and another, and another. That's how he leads us, step by step, grace by grace. Let God be your shepherd. Let him guide your steps. Let him restore your soul. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to trust the one who already does. And as you let him lead, you'll begin to realize something powerful. Peace is not found in the absence of trouble. It's found in the presence of God. And he is here right now, closer than your breath, ready to carry you, ready to guide you, ready to do more than you could ask or imagine. Just let go and let him lead. There's something remarkable that happens when a soul finally yields, when a heart weary from trying, striving, and straining finally says, God, I can't do this anymore, not in my strength. That moment, though it feels like weakness, is the gateway to real strength. That surrender, though it feels like loss, is the beginning of true gain. Because that is when the power of God begins to flow, not into your polished plans, not into your careful blueprints, but into your open hands. And I believe that's what God is waiting for, not perfection, not performance, just permission. He won't force his way in. He waits for you to say, lead me, Lord. I'm tired of leading myself. I've tried to be in charge, and all it's brought me is fear, pressure, and confusion. I need you. That's the moment the burden starts to lift. That's the moment His peace begins to settle over your chaos. And that's the moment you stop carrying what only God can carry. Sometimes we don't even realize how much we've been trying to hold on to until we start to let go. You may have been carrying silent burdens, questions you don't speak out loud, expectations no one else knows you've placed on yourself, timelines you've silently created in your mind. You thought you had to hold it all together. You thought you had to keep smiling, keep pushing, keep pretending that everything was under control. But deep down, you're tired. Deep down, your soul is aching for rest. And that's what Jesus offers. Not just rest for your body, but rest for your soul. He said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." What a promise! Not just a nap, not just a break, but real, lasting rest. Rest that quiets the noise, rest that silences the lies, rest that fills the empty places. He's not just asking you to follow Him in the big decisions, He's inviting you to trust Him with the unseen corners of your life. You may wonder, how do I know I can trust Him? Look at the cross. Look at what He gave for you. He didn't withhold His only Son. He didn't turn away when the nails pierced His hands. He didn't stop the plan when it became painful. He endured it all for you, so that you could know that you are loved fully and forever. If He gave everything to rescue your soul, why would He not also lead you tenderly through every step of your life? Sometimes we mistake delay for denial, but just because God hasn't moved yet doesn't mean He isn't moving. Just because the door hasn't opened doesn't mean He isn't preparing the way. Sometimes He's working on things in you before He works through you. Sometimes He's stripping away what you thought you needed to show you what you truly need. Trusting God doesn't always look like soaring. Sometimes it looks like staying. Sometimes it looks like waiting when everything in you wants to run. Sometimes it means walking away from the good so He can lead you to the best. And when you're in those in-between seasons, between the promise and the fulfillment, between the prayer and the answer, those are the places where trust is refined. That's where faith grows deeper roots. That's where you stop needing to know all the answers and start needing more of Him. And isn't that the goal? Not just to get where you're going, but to know who walks beside you on the journey. He knows the way, He is the way, and He never leads without purpose. Every step, even the detours, are woven into a divine plan. You may think you've taken a wrong turn, but God has a way of using every path, even the broken ones, to bring you right where you need to be. He's not looking at your life and thinking, "Oops, I didn't see that coming." He sees the whole picture. He sees the pain, the confusion, the loss, and He still says, "Follow me." There's safety in His leadership. You may not always understand it, but you can trust it. You may not see the full view, but you can take the next step. Because He doesn't need you to be the hero of the story. He is the author and the finisher. He started it, and He will complete it. All He asks is that you trust Him in the middle. Some of you are walking through a fire right now, and maybe you're thinking, if God is leading me, why is it still so hard? But let me remind you, He never promised an easy path. He promised His presence. He never said the waters wouldn't rise, but He said they wouldn't sweep over you. He never said the flames wouldn't come, but He said they wouldn't consume you. He doesn't remove every obstacle, but He walks with you through them. And sometimes it's in the fire that you see Him most clearly. When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood in the flames, they didn't walk out alone. A fourth man was in the fire with them, one who looked like the Son of God. That's what happens when you trust Him. He doesn't always pull you out immediately, but He always steps in with you, and His presence changes everything. You may feel like you're surrounded right now by pressure, by doubt, by fear, but you're not defeated, because the one who surrounds you is greater than whatever surrounds your situation. The one who leads you has already conquered the grave. He's not leading you toward death. He's leading you toward life. And that means even when it feels like everything is falling apart, He's holding it all together. The world will try to offer you a counterfeit peace, temporary fixes, shallow comforts, but they don't last. They don't satisfy. Only God can fill the deep places. Only His peace remains when the storm hits. Only His presence anchors your soul. And that's why you don't need to worry. Not because your situation is simple, not because your future is all mapped out, but because your God is faithful. He doesn't change, He doesn't waver, He doesn't abandon His children. You can lay your head down at night knowing that while you sleep, He watches over you. You can face tomorrow knowing that He's already in it. You can walk forward without fear because He's leading the way. So keep your eyes on Him. Don't get distracted by the noise. Don't let worry steal your joy. Don't let fear steal your future. Keep your eyes fixed on the one who called you. Keep walking even when the road is rough. Keep trusting even when it's dark. Keep surrendering even when it hurts, because the one who called you is faithful, and He will lead you all the way. And when you look back one day, you'll see it so clearly. You'll see how He was guiding you when you didn't even know it. You'll see how He was working in the waiting. You'll see how every step, every turn, every delay had a purpose. You'll see His fingerprints all over your story, and you'll say, "Thank God I let go. Thank God I let Him lead." You'll realize that it wasn't your effort that carried you. It was His grace. It wasn't your strength that sustained you. It was His Spirit. It wasn't your plans that succeeded. It was His faithfulness that never failed. And it all began when you stopped worrying and let God lead. Sometimes we think surrender is the end, but in God's hands, surrender is the beginning. The moment you release control is the moment you start to see clearly. Not because the fog lifts all at once, but because your heart shifts. You stop asking God to follow your plans, and you start asking to follow His. And something amazing happens when that shift takes place. Your soul starts to breathe again. Your burden gets lighter, your steps feel steadier. You begin to live from a place of peace rather than pressure. So many of us carry silent expectations, how things should go, when they should happen, who should stay in our lives, and what success should look like. And when life doesn't match that mental picture, we start to panic. We assume something's wrong. We assume God has forgotten us. But what if God is saving you from a version of life that's smaller than what He had in mind? What if His no is really a setup for a better yes? What if the doors that didn't open were His way of protecting you from what you couldn't yet see? This is the mystery of trust. It doesn't always make sense in the moment. It requires patience. It calls for humility. It demands that we acknowledge God as the author, not just the helper. Too often we treat God like an assistant. We want Him to help us achieve our vision, accomplish our dreams, fix our problems. But He is not our assistant, He is our Lord. And when we truly let Him lead, we stop building our little kingdoms and start living for something eternal. It takes courage to trust a God you cannot see, but it also takes faith to recognize that He sees the whole picture. You see a piece, He sees the masterpiece. You see the moment, He sees the meaning. You see the obstacle, He sees the opportunity. So when He says wait, it's not punishment, it's preparation. When He says not yet, it's not rejection, it's protection. When He closes a door, it's not because He's unkind, it's because He's leading you toward the one He ordained. Letting God lead means embracing His timing, not just His promises. It means believing He's good even when the path feels hard. It means trusting that the hand that holds the universe also holds your heart. And if He's holding your heart, you don't need to fear what's next. You don't need to wake up every morning weighed down by what might happen. You can walk into each day with confidence, knowing that your life is in the hands of the one who made you. It's not just about the big moments either. It's about the daily decisions. It's about choosing prayer over panic. It's about giving thanks when things don't go your way. It's about asking God what He wants to do in you, not just around you. You begin to realize that following Jesus isn't just about destination, it's about transformation. It's about becoming more like Him as you walk with Him. And that transformation often comes in the waiting, in the wandering, in the wilderness. We don't like the wilderness. It feels dry, slow, painful. But the wilderness is where God trains His people. It's where He burns away the pride. It's where He teaches dependence. It's where He becomes not just a concept, but your daily bread. It's where you stop looking for shortcuts and start listening for His voice. Don't despise the process. Don't rush what God is shaping in you. The same God who parts the sea is the one who leads step by step. And sometimes He lets you walk through things so that when you come out, you're not just delivered, you're different. You're deeper. You're stronger. You're no longer trying to control everything because now you know who's in control. This kind of trust, this radical surrendered trust, doesn't come from a sermon. It comes from walking with God. It's built in the moments when you had nothing else to hold on to but His Word. It's formed in the valleys, not just the victories. It's forged in the fire, not just the comfort. And once you taste it, you never want to go back to the old way of living, gripping everything tightly, worrying about what's next, chasing after things that can't satisfy. Letting God lead brings you to a different rhythm. It's slower than the world's pace, but it's deeper, it's steadier. It doesn't panic when things go wrong. It listens before it speaks. It worships even when it hurts. It rejoices even when it waits. It doesn't need to compete or compare because it's grounded in the love of the Father. It knows that everything you need flows from Him. Not from people, not from achievements, not from success, but from Him. And when you walk in that rhythm, your perspective changes. You stop asking, what can I get? And you start asking, who can I become? You stop measuring your life by outcomes and start measuring it by obedience. You stop needing a life that looks impressive and start desiring a heart that's fully surrendered. God is not looking for polished people. He's looking for available people. People who will say yes before they see the whole picture. People who will go where He sends them. People who will trust His heart even when they don't understand His hand. People who will say, God, I don't need to lead anymore. I just want to follow You. And friend, when you live that way, the pressure lifts. Because now you're no longer trying to prove yourself. You're no longer trying to earn love that was already given. You're no longer trying to hold up your world. You're letting Him hold you. And He's never dropped anyone who trusted in Him, not once. He's faithful to the end. So let your heart rest in that today. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to have the perfect plan. You just have to trust the one who does. He's not in a rush. He's not overwhelmed. He's not unsure about your future. He is your shepherd. He is your refuge. He is your peace. And He's already ahead of you, making a way, opening doors, healing wounds, restoring what was broken, rewriting stories. He's doing more than you can see, more than you can imagine, more than you even know to pray for. So keep showing up, keep trusting, keep surrendering, because the life that God leads is the only life worth living. One step at a time, one prayer at a time, one moment of surrender at a time. And in the end, you'll look back not with regret, not with fear, but with awe. And you'll say, God, You were with me the whole way. You led me better than I ever could have led myself. And that is the testimony of a life fully surrendered. Not one without trouble, but one with peace. Not one without questions, but one with unshakable trust. Not one without storms, but one where the anchor held. Because the one who leads never fails. And when the world pulls you in every direction, telling you to take control, to hustle harder, to figure it all out by your own might, there's a quiet whisper calling you back, calling you home. A whisper that says, be still and know that I am God. Not just know about Him, Not just believe He exists, but know Him personally, intimately, truly, to know His character, His faithfulness, His goodness. That kind of knowing silences the chaos. That kind of knowing drives out fear. That kind of knowing gives you the confidence to take your hands off the wheel and let Him lead. You begin to realize that trust is not passive, it's powerful. It's not weakness, it's warfare. It's choosing to believe God's truth over the lies screaming in your mind. It's choosing to stand still when everything in you wants to run back to what's familiar. It's choosing to praise when nothing makes sense, because praise is not based on circumstances. It's based on who God is, and He doesn't change. Some of you have been carrying disappointment like a second skin. Prayers you've prayed that haven't been answered, at least not in the way you hoped. Doors that closed, relationships that ended, loss that left you with unanswered questions. And the enemy wants to use that pain to make you doubt the goodness of God. He wants to whisper that if God really loved you, things would have gone differently. But friend, let me tell you, God's love for you is not proven by the presence of easy days. It's proven by the cross. And nothing in your life, no setback, no loss, no unanswered question can undo what He did for you on that hill called Calvary. He knows what He's doing, even when it doesn't look like it. Sometimes God's greatest gifts come wrapped in trials. Sometimes the very thing you wish He'd take away is the thing He's using to bring you closer to His heart. And if you stay close, if you keep walking, keep trusting, keep letting Him lead, you'll see it. You'll see how the detour wasn't a delay, but a divine direction. You'll see how the heartbreak wasn't the end, but a door to deeper healing. You'll see how the silence wasn't absence, but an invitation to press in closer. Because when God leads, He leads with purpose. He doesn't waste your pain. He doesn't overlook your tears. He catches every one. He hears every groan that words can't express. And even when you can't feel Him, He's working. Even when you can't see the outcome, He's weaving something eternal. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. And you are not walking alone. When you begin to truly let God lead, you start to see the difference between pressure and purpose. The world says, prove yourself. God says, let me be your proof. The world says, be strong. God says, my strength is made perfect in your weakness. The world says, figure it out. God says, lean not on your own understanding. There is a deep rest in following God, even in the middle of movement. Because your soul no longer depends on external things to feel secure. You are grounded in something unshakable. But make no mistake, letting God lead doesn't mean life will always be simple. There will still be storms. There will still be valleys. There will still be moments that test everything you believe. But what changes is how you face them. You stop reacting from fear and start responding from faith. You stop living for approval and start walking in identity. You stop clinging to outcomes and start resting in obedience. There's power in obedience, even when it's quiet, even when it's not seen by others, even when it doesn't feel significant. When you let God lead, no step is wasted, no prayer is unheard, no act of faith is small. He sees it all, and He honors those who follow Him with a pure heart. It might mean taking a path that looks different from the crowd. It might mean letting go of good things so you can grab hold of God things. It might mean choosing forgiveness over bitterness, faith over fear, patience over pressure. But when you let Him lead, you begin to realize that His path leads to life. Not just eternal life, but abundant life right here, right now. A life full of peace that doesn't make sense, joy that runs deeper than circumstances, and love that never runs out. You begin to carry a quiet confidence, not in yourself, but in your Savior. People around you will wonder how you stay calm in the chaos, how you keep your joy when things fall apart, how you move forward without a plan B. And you'll be able to say, it's not me, it's the one who leads me. Because now your life becomes a testimony, not of your wisdom, not of your strength, but of His faithfulness. And as He leads you, you begin to see more clearly, not just what He's doing, but who He is. You start to know His voice. You start to sense His direction. You start to recognize His hand in your story. And that intimacy, that nearness, that's the real reward. That's what makes it all worth it. The greatest treasure isn't what He gives, it's who He is. And when you have Him, you have everything. So keep going, keep surrendering, keep letting go of worry, fear, control. You don't have to know the next 10 steps, just take the one He's showing you. You don't have to have all the answers, just trust the one who is the answer. You don't have to strive anymore, just follow, just rest. Just believe that the God who created you, saved you, and called you is able to lead you all the way. And oh, how He will, not with force but with grace, not with fear but with love, not with confusion but with peace. His leadership doesn't enslave, it sets free. His guidance doesn't limit, it enlarges. His ways don't confine, they fulfill. Because when God leads, He leads you not just to the destination, but to your true identity in Him. So even if the road is long, even if the way is hard, even if the path winds through places you didn't expect, keep your eyes on Him. Don't look to the right or to the left. Don't be swayed by noise or distraction. Don't let the world define what success looks like. Let God define your story. Let Him write the pages. Let Him take the pen out of your hand and do what only He can do. Because the moment you stop worrying, the moment you truly let go, that's when your life begins to align with heaven. That's when your heart begins to find real peace. That's when you realize that every moment of surrender is not a loss but a victory. Not a weakness, but the very place where God's strength is made perfect. So lean into Him. Trust Him more today than you did yesterday. Open your hands, lift your heart, and walk forward in faith, knowing the one who goes before you is faithful, powerful, and good. Let Him lead, and you will never be the same. So today, wherever you are, whatever you're facing, make the decision deep in your heart to stop worrying and let God lead you. Let Him into every corner of your life. Trust Him not just with your Sundays, but with your Mondays, your midnights, your mess. Give Him your plans, your questions, your fears, your future. Let go of the weight you were never meant to carry, and take hold of the peace you were always meant to live in. He is ready to lead you not just through the easy days, but through every valley, every storm, every unknown. And if you follow Him, if you truly surrender, you'll find something greater than control. You'll find freedom. You'll find peace. You'll find purpose. Because the safest, strongest, most beautiful place you could ever be is right in the center of God's will. Let Him lead you, and you will never be lost. When life whispers in quiet moments or roars in the storms of uncertainty, there lies a profound truth waiting to be unveiled, a sign to prepare for big changes. These signs are never random, nor are they mere coincidences. They are divine indicators orchestrated by a higher power, urging you to awaken to a new reality that is forming within you and around you. Everything begins within. The restless feeling, the unease that creeps into the most comfortable corners of your life, is not an enemy but a messenger. It stirs you because you are being called to expand, to rise beyond the boundaries of what you once believed possible. This restlessness is a sign that the old is fading and the new is preparing to emerge. You may find yourself losing interest in things that once brought joy or fulfillment. The conversations, routines, or even relationships that once anchored you may begin to feel misaligned. Do not resist this transformation. The shedding of the old is essential for the emergence of the new. Trust that these changes are not losses, but the clearing of space for something greater to take root. Perhaps you feel drawn to explore paths that seem distant or impossible. This is not the product of random curiosity, it is the stirring of your soul guiding you toward your true destiny. What you desire deeply is not separate from you. It is the echo of your future self calling you to step forward, to claim what has always been yours. At times, the signs may come in the form of challenges. Life may appear to dismantle everything familiar. But remember, a seed must break apart before it can sprout, and the earth must be shaken for the treasure to be unearthed. These challenges are not meant to destroy you, but to refine you, preparing you for the magnitude of what is to come. Synchronicities will begin to weave themselves into your days. A conversation, a book, a chance encounter, all aligning to offer guidance and affirmation that you are on the brink of transformation. Pay attention, for these are divine nudges, gently leading you toward the path you are meant to walk. You may also notice an intensified pull towards stillness, reflection, or prayer. The quiet spaces you create allow the divine within you to speak, to whisper the wisdom that cannot be heard amidst the noise. Honor these moments, for they are where clarity blooms and the blueprint of your next steps is revealed. The most profound sign is a deep, unshakable knowing, a quiet yet powerful conviction that change is not only coming but is already unfolding. This knowing is the voice of faith, urging you to prepare, to align, and to embrace the unknown with confidence and grace. Trust it, for it is the voice of your highest self, already witnessing the reality that is waiting to manifest. Big changes are not something to fear but to welcome. They are the universe's way of ensuring you grow into the fullness of your potential. As you prepare, remember that everything you need is already within you. The strength, the wisdom, the courage, they have always been there, waiting for you to claim them. Embrace these signs, for they are sacred. They are the bridge between who you are and who you are meant to become. And as you step forward in faith, the path will unfold beneath your feet, leading you to the life that has been waiting for you all along. Restlessness is often misunderstood, labeled as discomfort or dissatisfaction, but its essence holds a profound and divine message. When you feel unsettled, unable to rest in the routines or comforts that once gave you peace, it is not a signal that something is wrong, but a whisper from the divine urging you to pay attention. Restlessness arises not to torment, but to awaken, to stir your soul from complacency and guide you toward a greater truth, one that you may not yet fully understand, but that is undeniably shaping itself in the unseen realms. This stirring often begins subtly, like a soft wind brushing against your spirit. You may find yourself questioning things you once took for granted, sensing that the life you built no longer fits. The things you once clung to for stability now feel restrictive, as though they cannot contain the fullness of who you are becoming. This sense of unease, though uncomfortable, is sacred. It is a sign that you are being prepared for a shift, for a transformation that requires the breaking down of the old to make room for the new. The restlessness you feel is not random. It is deeply purposeful and intricately connected to the unfolding of your highest self. Your inner being knows when you are ready for expansion, even before your conscious mind does. It begins to push against the boundaries of your current reality, creating a sense of tension that cannot be ignored. This tension is the birthplace of growth, the divine energy that propels you toward the next chapter of your journey. Restlessness often manifests in various forms. You may feel a longing for something you cannot yet name, an undefined ache in your spirit that seems to pull you forward. This longing is not a void, it is an invitation. It is your soul's way of calling you to explore the depths of your desires and to recognize that they are not separate from you. The things you yearn for are not outside of your reach, they are reflections of what your soul knows is possible. The restlessness is simply the reminder that you are ready to step into a greater version of yourself. Sometimes this unease shows up as dissatisfaction with what once brought you joy. Activities, relationships, or even achievements that once felt fulfilling may now seem hollow or unaligned. This is not a sign of failure or ingratitude, but of evolution. As you grow, your needs, desires, and purpose shift, and restlessness becomes the signal that it is time to align your external world with your internal truth. It is the divine's way of nudging you out of your comfort zone, ensuring that you do not settle for less than what you are capable of becoming. In moments of restlessness, it is tempting to resist, to cling to the familiar for fear of what lies beyond. Yet resistance only prolongs the discomfort. Restlessness is not meant to be fought but embraced. It is a teacher offering lessons in faith, trust, and surrender. When you lean into the unease, you create space for clarity to emerge. You begin to see that the discomfort is not a punishment but a preparation, a necessary step in the journey toward transformation. The world around you may not always understand your restlessness. Others may urge you to be content, to appreciate what you have and remain where you are. But the calling within you cannot be silenced by external voices. It is a deeply personal and sacred dialogue between you and the divine. Trust that the restlessness you feel is not an error but a signpost, guiding you toward a life that is more aligned with your true essence. Restlessness often comes with moments of stillness and reflection. It is in these quiet spaces that the divine speaks most clearly, offering insights and revelations that can only be heard when you are willing to listen. Allow yourself the grace to pause, to sit with the discomfort, and to ask what it is trying to teach you. In the silence, you may find that the answers are already within you, waiting to be acknowledged and acted upon. There is a divine timing to restlessness. It does not arise when you are unprepared, but precisely when you are ready to take the next step. Even if you do not feel ready, trust that the unease is a signal that the time has come to move forward. The divine does not rush, nor does it delay. It operates with perfect precision, ensuring that you are always being guided at the right moment toward the right path. Restlessness is not a permanent state. It is a transition, a bridge between what was and what will be. As you honor the message it brings, you begin to see it not as something to fear but as a gift. It awakens you to the possibilities that lie ahead, encouraging you to dream bigger, to reach higher, and to step boldly into the unknown. Through restlessness, you are reminded that growth is a constant journey, one that requires courage, faith, and a willingness to embrace the unfolding mystery of life. When you feel restless, know that it is not a sign of lack but of abundance. It is the divine's way of reminding you that there is more for you, that you are not meant to remain stagnant but to thrive. Restlessness is a sacred invitation to co-create with the divine, to step into your power and claim the life that has always been waiting for you. Trust the process and know that every moment of unease is leading you closer to the truth of who you are and the greatness you are destined to embody. The process of shedding the old to make space for the new is a profound and transformative journey, one that is often marked by discomfort and uncertainty. Yet it is in this very process that the seeds of growth are planted, nurtured, and prepared to bloom. Life is a continuous cycle of endings and beginnings, and within this rhythm lies the essence of evolution. To hold on to what no longer serves is to resist the divine flow, but to release it is to create space for the extraordinary. When life begins to change, it may feel as though you are losing pieces of yourself. Old routines, relationships, and even long-held beliefs may no longer feel aligned. This can be unsettling, for there is comfort in the familiar, even when it no longer fulfills us. Yet, the divine plan is never static. It is dynamic, always moving, always expanding. To cling to what is outdated is to resist this divine motion. The shedding of the old is not a loss, but a necessary step in your becoming. Letting go can often feel like a grieving process. The things, people, and circumstances you release may have once been integral to your identity. But just as the seasons shift and the trees release their leaves to prepare for new growth, so too must you trust the natural flow of your life. What you release is not being taken from you arbitrarily. It is being cleared to make room for something far greater, something that aligns with the person you are becoming. In the moment of release, it is natural to feel fear. The mind clings to what it knows, seeking safety and familiarity. But the soul knows that the familiar is not always where growth resides. To step into the new, you must first create space within yourself. This space is sacred, is the fertile ground where new dreams, opportunities, and relationships can take root. The process of shedding is not one of destruction, but of preparation, an essential part of manifesting a greater reality. As you release the old, you may encounter resistance, both within yourself and from the world around you. Friends or loved ones may question your choices, urging you to stay as you are. They may see your letting go as a rejection of the past rather than an embrace of the future. It is important to understand that their reactions often come from their own fear of change. This journey is yours alone, and your willingness to let go is an act of faith, a declaration that you trust in the divine plan unfolding in your life. The act of shedding is also an act of self-love. It is a recognition that you deserve more than what the old can offer. By releasing what no longer serves you, you are affirming your worth, acknowledging that you are not bound by your past, but are free to create your future. This is not an easy path, for it requires courage to face the unknown. But within this courage lies the power to transform, to step into a version of yourself that is closer to your true essence. In letting go, you may experience moments of emptiness. This emptiness is not a void to be feared, but a space to be cherished. It is in the emptiness that the new begins to take shape. Allow yourself to sit with this space, to feel its possibilities. Do not rush to fill it with distractions or the familiar. Trust that what is meant for you will come, and it will come at the right time, in the right way. The shedding of the old is not only about releasing external things, but also about letting go of internal patterns. Old fears, limiting beliefs, and self-doubt must also be released if you are to step into the fullness of your potential. These inner barriers may have served a purpose at one point, perhaps protecting you or keeping you safe. But as you grow, you no longer need the protection of the past. To hold on to these patterns is to limit yourself, to keep yourself small when you are meant to expand. Each time you release something, you are telling the universe that you are ready for more. This readiness is a powerful force. It signals your willingness to grow, to evolve, and to receive what the divine has in store for you. The act of letting go is not passive, it is an active declaration of faith, a statement that you trust the unseen and believe in the possibilities yet to come. As you move through this process, remember that letting go does not mean forgetting or dismissing the value of what once was. The old served its purpose, it brought you to where you are now. Honor it for the role it played in your journey, and then release it with gratitude. In doing so, you free yourself from the weight of the past, allowing yourself to rise into the light of the present and the promise of the future. This transformation is not always immediate. The space created by letting go may feel unsettling at first, as though you are standing on the edge of a vast unknown. But it is in this space that the new begins to form. Trust the process, even when you cannot yet see the results. Know that the divine is always working in your favor, preparing you for a reality that aligns with your highest good. Every time you release something that no longer serves you, you become lighter, freer, and more aligned with your true self. The shedding of the old is a divine gift, a sacred step in the journey of becoming. Embrace it, for within it lies the promise of transformation, the unfolding of a life that is richer, fuller, and more aligned with your deepest truth. Desires are not mere whims or fleeting thoughts, they are profound echoes of your future self calling you forward. They arise from the depths of your being, a quiet yet persistent reminder of the potential that already exists within you. When you experience a desire, it is not something external to you that needs to be chased or acquired. Instead, it is a reflection of what is already yours in a realm unseen, a sign that your future self is guiding you toward a reality where that desire is fulfilled. Desires are sacred. They are the language through which the divine communicates its intentions for your life. Each longing, each vision, each dream you hold is a seed planted within you by the Creator. This seed carries the blueprint for its own fulfillment. The very act of desiring something is proof that it exists for you, waiting to be realized. The key is not to doubt the desire, but to embrace it as evidence of your connection to the infinite possibilities of creation. Often people misinterpret their desires, seeing them as unattainable or as something they must struggle to achieve. This misunderstanding creates a gap between the desire and its fulfillment. But the truth is that your desires are not distant, they are as close to you as your breath. They are already present within you, waiting for your recognition and alignment. To desire something is to affirm its presence in your life. The more you focus on this truth, the more your reality will begin to reflect it. Desires are not random. They are specific to you, arising from your unique essence and purpose. What you long for is intricately connected to who you are meant to become. Your future self, already living in the fulfillment of your desires, sends these echoes back to you as guidance. They are not a trick or a distraction, but a divine roadmap. When you honor your desires, you are honoring the highest version of yourself. You are acknowledging that your life has meaning and that your dreams are a vital part of that meaning. To recognize your desires as echoes of your future self is to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing them as something you must work for, you begin to understand them as a calling, a natural unfolding of what is already true. This shift removes the need for struggle and replaces it with a sense of trust and flow. The energy of wanting transforms into the energy of knowing. You no longer feel separate from your desires, but deeply connected to them. The path to realizing your desires lies in your ability to align with them. Alignment means living as though the fulfillment of your desire is already a fact. It requires you to think, feel, and act from the state of having, rather than the state of lack. This alignment is not about pretending or forcing, but about embodying the truth of your desire. When you align in this way, you become a magnet for the experiences and circumstances that match your inner state. Desires often come with emotions, joy, excitement, or even fear. These emotions are part of the process, indicators of the energy surrounding your desire. When you feel joy or excitement, it is a sign that you are in harmony with your future self. When fear arises, it is not a sign to retreat, but an invitation to grow. Fear often accompanies desires because they require you to step into the unknown. It is not a barrier, but a threshold, a sign that you are on the verge of expansion. As you move toward your desires, you may encounter challenges or delays. These are not signs that your desires are unattainable, but opportunities to deepen your faith and refine your alignment. Each obstacle is a lesson, a chance to release limiting beliefs and strengthen your connection to the truth of your being. The journey is as important as the destination because it shapes you into the person who is ready to receive what you desire. Desires also require you to cultivate a sense of worthiness. You must believe that you are deserving of what you long for. This belief is not about arrogance, but about recognizing your inherent value as a co-creator with the divine. When you see yourself as worthy, you open the door for your desires to manifest. Worthiness is not something you need to earn, it is something you must claim. It is a recognition of the divine essence within you and your right to live a life of joy and abundance. There is a timing to the fulfillment of desires, one that often transcends human understanding. You may want something immediately, but the divine operates with perfect precision. Trusting this timing is an act of surrender, an acknowledgement that your future self knows the way. When you release the need to control the outcome, you create space for the divine to work on your behalf. This trust allows you to remain in a state of peace, even as you wait for your desires to unfold. Desires are not just about acquiring things or achieving goals, they are about becoming. Each desire you hold is a catalyst for transformation, a spark that ignites your growth. The process of moving toward your desires changes you, shaping you into the person who can fully receive and appreciate their fulfillment. This transformation is the true gift of desire, for it brings you closer to your true self. When you honor your desires, you are not only honoring yourself, but also participating in the divine dance of creation. Your desires contribute to the expansion of the universe, adding to the beauty and richness of existence. By following the echoes of your future self, you are fulfilling your purpose, living in alignment with the divine plan, and experiencing the joy of co-creation. Your desires are not separate from you, they are you, calling you forward into the infinite possibilities of your becoming. The path to transformation often involves a period of uncertainty, where the familiar fades and clarity about what lies ahead is yet to emerge. This period is not one of chaos, but of divine preparation. It is a sacred time, a gestation of the new version of yourself that is coming into being. When the path becomes unclear, it is not a punishment or a failure, but a sign that you are being led into a greater alignment with your higher purpose. Uncertainty can feel unsettling. The human mind craves stability and understanding, often viewing the unknown as a threat. Yet it is in the unknown that the most profound growth occurs. When your path becomes unclear, it is because you are being asked to let go of control and surrender to the wisdom of the divine. This surrender is not an act of weakness, but a profound expression of trust, an acknowledgement that there is a higher intelligence guiding your journey. During these times, it is natural to question your direction, your decisions, and even your worth. Doubt may creep in, whispering that you have lost your way. But doubt is not your enemy, it is a signal that you are stepping beyond the boundaries of your comfort zone. It is a reminder that you are venturing into new territory, a place where your future self already exists. When the path becomes unclear, it is not because you have strayed, but because you are being invited to walk by faith rather than by sight. This period of uncertainty is like the pause before a symphony begins. It is a space where the divine rearranges the pieces of your life, aligning them to create a masterpiece that resonates with your highest good. From the outside, it may appear as though nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, there is a great unfolding, a quiet preparation for the next chapter of your journey. Trusting this unseen process is one of the most challenging yet rewarding acts of faith you can undertake. When the path becomes unclear, it is an opportunity to deepen your relationship with yourself and the divine. Without the distractions of certainty, you are invited to turn inward, to connect with the still, small voice that whispers guidance. This voice is always there, but it often goes unheard amidst the noise of daily life. Uncertainty quiets that noise, creating a space where you can truly listen. What you hear in this space may not always be logical or immediate, but it will always be true. In this liminal space, patience becomes your ally. The urge to force clarity, to rush into action for the sake of feeling productive, is strong. But true transformation cannot be rushed. Just as a seed must remain in the darkness of the soil before it can sprout, you too must allow time for your growth. Patience is not passive, it is an active state of trust, a commitment to the process of becoming without demanding immediate results. Uncertainty also reveals the strength of your faith. It is easy to trust when the path is clear and the destination is in sight. But true faith is forged in the darkness, in the moments when you must walk forward without knowing where your foot will land. This kind of faith is not blind optimism, but a deep, unwavering belief in the goodness of the divine and the perfection of your journey. It is a knowing that even when you cannot see the way is being made. This period may also bring to light the aspects of yourself that need to be released or transformed. When the path becomes unclear, old fears, doubts, and insecurities often rise to the surface. This is not a setback, but a gift, an opportunity to confront and heal these aspects of yourself. What you release in this time makes space for the new to enter. It is not always an easy process, but it is a necessary one. The path to clarity often requires you to let go of what no longer aligns with your highest self. When you embrace the uncertainty, you open yourself to the magic of possibilities. The human tendency is to want to know every step, to plan and predict the future. But the divine works in ways that often surpass understanding. By releasing the need to know, you allow the universe to surprise you, to bring into your life experiences and opportunities that you could not have imagined. Uncertainty is not the absence of direction, but the presence of infinite potential. The lack of clarity can also serve as a reminder that the journey is not solely about the destination. It is in the wandering, the questioning, and the exploring that you discover the depths of your soul. Each step, even the hesitant ones, is a part of your unfolding. The beauty of life is not found in always knowing, but in the courage to move forward, despite not knowing. It is in these moments that you grow, evolve, and become. As the path becomes clearer, you will look back on this time of uncertainty with gratitude. You will see how it shaped you, how it prepared you for the next phase of your journey. The lessons you learned during this time will stay with you, serving as a foundation for future growth. You will understand that the lack of clarity was never a void, but a space filled with divine intention, a sacred pause before the next great movement in your life. Uncertainty is a teacher, a guide, and a gift. It strips away the illusions of control and invites you to trust in something greater than yourself. It reminds you that life is not a puzzle to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. When the path becomes unclear, it is not a sign of failure, but of transformation. It is an invitation to step into the unknown with faith, to trust that even in the darkness, the light of your destiny is guiding you. Emotions are the subtle yet powerful indicators of alignment with your future self and the manifestations you seek. They are not random fluctuations of energy, but deeply connected signals guiding you toward or away from the state of your fulfilled desires. To understand emotions as spiritual tools is to unlock a profound source of guidance that transcends logic or circumstance. Every emotion you feel is a reflection of your inner state and how closely it aligns with the reality you desire. Joy, excitement, peace, and gratitude are indicators that you are in harmony with the version of yourself that already possesses what you seek. These emotions arise not because the external world has changed, but because your internal state resonates with the truth of your manifestation. They are whispers from your future self, affirming that you are on the right path. On the other hand, emotions such as fear, doubt, anger, or frustration are not to be suppressed or feared. They, too, are part of the guidance system, pointing out where resistance exists or where beliefs are misaligned with your desired reality. These emotions are not punishments or barriers, they are opportunities for introspection and growth. They reveal the areas where healing is needed, where old patterns or limiting beliefs are holding you back from fully embodying your future self. When you feel strong emotions, it is crucial to pause and ask what they are revealing to you. If the emotion is uplifting, lean into it, savor it, and let it expand within you. This not only strengthens your alignment, but also reinforces your connection to the desired state. If the emotion is challenging, resist the urge to fight it or push it away. Instead, approach it with curiosity and compassion. What is it trying to teach you? What belief or thought has triggered it? And how can you shift that perspective? Emotions are not fixed, they are fluid and ever-changing. This fluidity is what makes them such powerful tools for alignment. By consciously choosing to shift your emotional state, you can change your point of attraction and draw closer to your desires. This does not mean ignoring difficult emotions or pretending to be happy when you are not. It means acknowledging where you are emotionally, then gently guiding yourself toward a state that feels better and more aligned. Visualization is one of the most effective ways to use emotions as a tool for alignment. When you close your eyes and vividly imagine the fulfillment of your desire, your mind does not distinguish between the imagined and the real. It begins to produce the emotions associated with that fulfillment. As you feel the joy, gratitude, or excitement of your imagined reality, you align yourself energetically with that state. These emotions are not a byproduct of the external world, but a creative force that shapes your reality. Gratitude is a particularly potent emotional state for alignment. When you focus on what you are grateful for, you shift your attention away from lack and toward abundance. Gratitude is an acknowledgement of what is good and true in your life, and it has the power to transform your perspective instantly. It is a signal to the universe that you are open to receiving more of what you appreciate. By cultivating a daily practice of gratitude, you create a foundation of emotional alignment that supports your manifestations. Fear and doubt, though often perceived as negative, hold valuable lessons when approached with an open heart. These emotions typically arise when you are on the verge of stepping into a new version of yourself. They are the echoes of old beliefs and patterns resisting change. Instead of letting fear paralyze you, use it as a signal that you are growing. Fear is not an enemy, it is a companion on the journey of transformation. It challenges you to reaffirm your commitment to your desires and to trust the process. One of the most transformative practices is learning to observe your emotions without judgment. Emotions are neither good nor bad, they simply are. They are indicators, not dictators. When you can sit with your emotions, observe them, and allow them to flow without attaching to them, you reclaim your power. You begin to see emotions as temporary states rather than permanent conditions. This detachment allows you to consciously choose the emotions that align with your highest self. Your emotional state influences not only your inner world but also your outer reality. The energy you emit through your emotions creates ripples in the field of possibilities, drawing to you experiences that match your vibration. This is why it is said that you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. By aligning your emotions with the state of already having what you desire, you collapse the gap between your current reality and your desired reality. To use emotions as spiritual tools requires awareness and practice. It is not about perfection, but about progress. Begin by paying attention to how you feel throughout the day. Notice the thoughts that precede your emotions and the actions that follow. When you catch yourself in a state of misalignment, gently redirect your focus. This could be through affirmations, visualization, meditation, or simply taking a moment to breathe and reset. Compassion for yourself is essential in this process. There will be days when alignment feels effortless and others when it seems elusive. This is the nature of growth. Be patient with yourself, knowing that every emotion, every experience is part of the journey. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and trust that you are always moving closer to your desires. Emotions are the language of the soul. They are how your higher self communicates with you, guiding you toward your highest potential. When you embrace them as tools for alignment, you step into your power as a conscious creator. You begin to see emotions not as obstacles but as allies, each one offering a unique opportunity for growth and connection. By mastering your emotional state, you master your reality, aligning with the infinite possibilities that are already within you. Resistance is an inherent part of growth and transformation, often arising when you are on the brink of a significant shift in your life. It manifests as doubt, fear, procrastination, or even physical discomfort, and while it may seem like an obstacle, it is in fact a sign that you are stepping beyond your current limitations. To embrace resistance is to understand it as a necessary part of the process, an indication that you are moving towards something greater. At its core, resistance is the mind's way of maintaining the status quo. The mind, ever protective, perceives change as a threat. Even when the change is for your highest good, it clings to the familiar, to patterns and habits that feel safe, even if they no longer serve you. This is why resistance often intensifies when you are closest to a breakthrough. It is a signal that you are venturing into uncharted territory, a place where the old ways of being cannot follow. Recognizing resistance for what it is, a protective mechanism, allows you to approach it with compassion rather than frustration. Resistance is not your enemy, it is a teacher. It shows you where your fears and doubts lie, where you may still be holding on to limiting beliefs. When you face resistance, instead of pushing against it, ask yourself what it is trying to reveal. What part of you feels unsafe or unworthy of the change you are seeking? What stories are you telling yourself that perpetuate this resistance? Resistance often arises in the form of self-doubt. You may question your abilities, your worthiness, or even the validity of your desires. These doubts are not indicators of failure but of growth. They surface because you are challenging the beliefs that have defined your identity up until now. Doubt is a sign that you are expanding, that you are stepping into a version of yourself that your current mindset cannot yet fully comprehend. Instead of fearing doubt, embrace it as a sign that you are on the right path. Procrastination is another common expression of resistance. It may disguise itself as perfectionism, the need for more information, or a sudden focus on unrelated tasks. While it can be frustrating, procrastination is not laziness, it is fear in action. Fear of failure, fear of success, or fear of change can all manifest as an inability to move forward. By identifying the underlying fear, you can address the root cause of the procrastination and begin to take aligned action. Physical discomfort can also signal resistance. You may feel tension, fatigue, or even illness when you are on the verge of a breakthrough. The body and mind are deeply interconnected, and resistance often manifests in the body as a way to capture your attention. Instead of ignoring or suppressing these sensations, listen to what your body is telling you. What needs to be released? What are you holding on to that no longer serves you? Physical resistance is an invitation to align your body with your intentions, to treat it as a partner in your transformation. One of the most effective ways to navigate resistance is to lean into it rather than resist it. This may seem counterintuitive, but resistance only grows stronger when you fight against it. By leaning into resistance, you acknowledge its presence and allow it to move through you. This could mean journaling about your fears, meditating on your doubts, or even speaking them aloud. Once you bring resistance into the light, it begins to lose its power. Patience and persistence are essential when dealing with resistance. It is not a one-time hurdle, but a recurring companion on the journey of growth. Each new level of expansion brings its own form of resistance, tailored to the challenges of that stage. Instead of viewing resistance as a setback, see it as a sign of progress. The very presence of resistance means you are growing, evolving, and stepping into a new version of yourself. Faith is another powerful tool for overcoming resistance. Faith in your vision, faith in the process, and faith in yourself can carry you through moments of doubt and fear. Resistance thrives on uncertainty, on the gaps in your belief system. By anchoring yourself in faith, you create a solid foundation that resistance cannot easily shake. Faith does not eliminate resistance, but it gives you the strength to move through it with grace. Taking small, consistent actions can also help to dissolve resistance. When the path ahead feels overwhelming, break it down into manageable steps. Each small action builds momentum, creating a sense of accomplishment that weakens resistance. Even the smallest step forward is a victory, a declaration that you are committed to your growth. Over time, these small actions accumulate, creating a powerful shift in your reality. Self-compassion is perhaps the most important tool for navigating resistance. Growth is not a linear process, it is a journey filled with peaks and valleys. There will be days when resistance feels insurmountable, when doubts and fears seem to overshadow your vision. On these days, be gentle with yourself. Acknowledge the effort you are making, even if progress feels slow. Celebrate your courage in facing resistance, for it is a testament to your commitment to your transformation. As you learn to embrace resistance, you begin to see it not as a barrier, but as a guide. It points you toward the areas of your life that need attention, healing, and transformation. It challenges you to grow, to step into your power, and to align with your highest self. Resistance is not the end of the road, it is a sign that you are exactly where you need to be. Resistance is a universal experience, one that touches every aspect of life, especially when we are on the verge of something transformative. The journey to personal growth, expansion, or achieving a dream is never linear. It is instead a series of challenges, internal conflicts, and emotional confrontations, all of which bring resistance to the surface. But instead of viewing it as something that hinders our progress, we must learn to view resistance as an essential part of the process, a natural response to change and growth. It is in these moments of resistance that we are truly tested, not only by external forces, but by our own inner beliefs, fears, and doubts. When resistance arises, it often feels like an obstacle, something that stands between where we are and where we want to be. We may feel stuck, frustrated, and uncertain, questioning whether the path we are on is truly the right one. The key, however, is understanding that this resistance is not a sign of failure, but a sign of expansion. It is a reminder that we are challenging the status quo, that we are stepping outside of our comfort zones and into unknown territory. Every time we try to shift or expand, resistance is there to greet us, urging us to stay where we are, to keep things the same, and to avoid the discomfort of change. It may show up in subtle forms, such as procrastination, fear of the unknown, or self-doubt. At other times, it may be more overt, manifesting as external challenges that seem to block our path. But regardless of its form, resistance serves a vital purpose. It reveals where our limiting beliefs still hold sway and where we still have work to do in transforming our mindset. Resistance is particularly powerful when we are on the verge of a breakthrough. It is in these moments, when we feel the most vulnerable and unsure, that we are actually closest to the manifestation of our desires. Think of resistance as the final test before a major shift. It's like the storm that passes just before the rainbow appears. The resistance is the pressure that forces us to let go of the old, outgrown parts of ourselves, so we can emerge into the new. One of the primary reasons we resist change is fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown, and fear of rejection are all forms of resistance that block our progress. These fears are often deeply ingrained, born from past experiences, societal conditioning, or self-imposed limitations. But fear is not the enemy. Fear is merely an emotion that arises when we step into uncharted territory. It is an expression of our human desire for security and certainty. However, this security is illusory. True growth happens when we move beyond the safety of the familiar, when we venture into the unknown and embrace the uncertainty that comes with it. As we face resistance, it is essential to recognize that the fear or doubt we feel is not an accurate reflection of our abilities or potential. These emotions arise because the mind is wired to protect us from perceived threats, and change, by its very nature, is perceived as a threat to our current reality. But the truth is, we are never given a challenge that is too great for us. The resistance we feel is simply a reflection of the gap between who we are now and who we are becoming. It is a natural part of the process of evolution, and it is through navigating this resistance that we grow and transform. Instead of fighting resistance, we must learn to lean into it. Leaning into resistance does not mean passively accepting defeat, rather. It means acknowledging the resistance, understanding its source, and moving forward despite it. This approach allows us to approach resistance with curiosity and compassion rather than with fear and judgment. When we resist resistance, we only intensify it. But when we accept it, we can transform it into a force for growth. One of the most effective ways to lean into resistance is by using it as an opportunity for self-reflection. When you encounter resistance, pause and ask yourself what it is trying to teach you. What beliefs or thoughts are triggering this resistance? Is there an old fear or trauma that needs healing? Are you doubting your abilities or questioning your worthiness? These questions invite introspection and provide valuable insights into the deeper layers of resistance that may be at play. Another critical aspect of navigating resistance is cultivating patience. Personal transformation is not something that happens overnight. It is a gradual, ongoing process. Resistance will not disappear instantly, nor should it. The more we try to rush through resistance, the more resistance we will encounter. Instead, we must develop the patience to allow the process to unfold naturally. It may take time to move through our fears and doubts, and that's okay. The journey is just as important as the destination. During these moments of resistance, it is crucial to remember that you are not alone. Every person who has ever achieved anything worthwhile has had to face resistance. It is part of the human experience. What differentiates those who succeed from those who give up is not the absence of resistance, but the willingness to persist in spite of it. Those who succeed do not let resistance define them. Instead, they see it as a sign that they are on the right path, that they are challenging themselves and expanding into new realms of possibility. Another important aspect of resistance is recognizing that it often arises when we are on the verge of a major shift in our lives. When we are about to step into a higher version of ourselves, resistance may manifest as a way of holding us back. It is a form of self-protection, a way of keeping us from leaving behind old beliefs, habits, and identities that no longer serve us. But in order to manifest our desires and create the life we want, we must be willing to let go of the past and embrace the unknown. The key to moving through resistance is taking small, consistent actions. When faced with overwhelming resistance, it can feel like the best course of action is to do nothing, to freeze or retreat. But this only prolongs the discomfort and the resistance itself. Instead, take one small step forward. Do one thing each day that brings you closer to your goal. It doesn't matter how small the step is. What matters is that you are moving forward, even if only by an inch. Each small step builds momentum, and over time you will find that the resistance becomes less and less overwhelming. As you move through resistance, it is essential to stay connected to your vision. Your vision is the guiding light that keeps you focused and aligned with your goals. When resistance arises, it can be easy to lose sight of why you started in the first place. But it is precisely in these moments that you must return to your vision and remind yourself of your purpose. Your vision serves as a powerful anchor that keeps you grounded and focused, even in the midst of uncertainty. It is also important to remember that resistance is not a permanent state. Just as the tide ebbs and flows, resistance too will eventually pass. Each time you face and move through resistance, you become stronger, more resilient, and more aligned with your higher self. Resistance may always be a part of the journey, but with each breakthrough, it becomes less intimidating. Eventually, you will learn to recognize resistance for what it is: a sign of growth, a sign that you are stepping into a higher version of yourself. In the end, resistance is not something to fear or avoid. It is a natural and necessary part of the journey to personal transformation. By learning to navigate resistance with patience, self-compassion, and persistence, we can move through it with grace and emerge stronger on the other side. Each time we face resistance and move through it, we are that much closer to manifesting our dreams and living the life we desire. Resistance, when viewed as a sign of growth, becomes a powerful ally on the path to transformation. In time, you will come to welcome resistance as a companion on your journey. It will no longer feel like an obstacle, but a natural part of the process, a reminder that you are moving in the direction of your dreams. Each time you face resistance and move through it, you become stronger, more aligned, and more capable of creating the life you desire. Resistance is not the enemy, it is the catalyst for your transformation. Resistance, though often perceived as a barrier, is a profound indicator of growth and transformation. It signals that you are stepping into new territory, challenging old patterns, and moving closer to your desired reality. By embracing resistance with awareness, patience, and compassion, you shift its energy from opposition to opportunity. Each moment of resistance is an invitation to deepen your faith, expand your self-belief, and take aligned action toward your dreams. When you lean into resistance, you reclaim your power, transforming what once felt like an obstacle into a stepping stone toward the life you are destined to create.